What would you do if you lost 10 years of your life? Not to heartbreak or failure, but to a prison cell. I sat down with Jesse White, who spent his entire 20s locked up. He grew up with no real chance. He lost his dad at 3, his mum was addicted to heroin, and by 19 he was behind bars. What stood out for me in the interview wasn't just what he went through, but how incredibly honest he is about it. The anger, the pain, the self-doubt, and what it actually took to rebuild his life from scratch. He's now running his own business and mentoring other kids, and basically doing everything they said he would never do. The episode's raw, it's confronting, and if you've ever felt stuck or like you're too far gone, I think you'll take something from this. Welcome to Move Your Mind, where we uncover why you are holding yourself back from getting the life you want and what to do about it. With the help from high-achieving guests and experts in behavioural science, personal development, and the health and wellness space. Join us if you're ready to move out of your own way toward your ideal self. I'm your host, Nick Brax, and I've been working in the health and wellness space for the last 15 years, helping people find direction and gain the courage to take control of their life. My mission is simple: to help you learn everything that I wish I knew, so you can become your ideal self. Lacking guidance, I spent the majority of my youth feeling lost and disempowered, which led to depression, anxiety, low self-esteem, and substance abuse. Looking back, I didn't have the vocabulary to communicate what I was experiencing. And as a man, I didn't resonate with the emotional language used in traditional therapy. I didn't need to talk about my feelings. I needed tangible solutions to guide me toward building a life I was proud of. If you can relate, then this podcast is for you. In this episode, we discuss how to turn pain into purpose. If you're ready to take action and build a stronger mindset, then keep listening. Jesse, so nice to meet you, mate. Appreciate you coming on the podcast.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, no, thank you for making the time. Well, before we go into anything else, can you just give me a background on yourself and how you came to be doing what you're doing today?
All right, quickly. So yeah, I started. I was basically all right. So fast forward. Well, let's start from the beginning. I was adopted at 5. Before that, my father died when I was 3. My mother was a heroin addict. So then I was taken in by CPS, Child Protective Services, and from 5 years old on, my road was really troubling. I dealt with a lot of trauma as a child, being abused and stuff, before 5. And at the age of 16, I went into a juvenile detention center, or 15, I went to a juvenile detention center. At the age of 19, I went to prison. And I didn't come home till I was 29. From 29, basically my life changed after that. Like, I decided to make a change after 29. So when I came home, I started thinking differently. I learned a lot while I was in prison. And I just decided to use my struggles and my pain as a way of motivation to do something better in my life.
Amazing, mate. Well, yeah, wow. Like, I mean, there's so much in there, and like, it's an incredible turnaround from, I mean, you really, from very early on were set up to really struggle. I mean, I can't even imagine how hard that would be, and to pull yourself out of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, I guess you didn't really have any guidance growing up. Like, what was that experience like? Did you feel, lost? And how did you end up going to prison? What led to that?
Well, I was basically I went to this party. That the people that were at the party, they started a fight with me. I ended up hurting one of them while trying to protect myself. And I got a lot. He survived, and he's I'm sure he's well today. But through all the little, like when you have like all these little things that happen in your life, all these little times going in front of the judge and stuff as a child, eventually they say enough's enough. I guess that's the judge told me at one point, if I see you again in my courtroom, I'm gonna give you the book. Well, he kept his word on that.
Wow. And 10 years in
10 years,
prison.
yeah, I did. Yeah, I spent all my 20s in prison.
That's insane. Yeah.
Yeah, in New York State prison.
Wow.
Uh, but after, the story gets greater after that, obviously, right?
Yeah, which we're going to go into. I want to just ask a few more
Yeah, yeah.
questions around this, and then
All right, sure.
go into the, how you did pull yourself through all of that. But I can only imagine, like growing up, like you're saying, your dad dying early on. It was your father that died early, you said, wasn't it? It was.
Yeah, my father died when I was 3, and my mother was a drug addict.
And
Yeah,
then your mother being a drug addict, having no guidance, being put into child protective services. I mean, I can
right.
imagine there would just be so much confusion, so much pent up anger. You just would feel you haven't even been given a chance in the world. So it's just like, I think I can only imagine what the hell that would be like. And I think it's, yeah, to the fact that
I
you,
know.
yeah,
Look what it's doing
yeah,
to you.
yeah,
You're like your energy is like, oh my, like,
yeah. Well,
oh gosh, this is a lot.
I feel for you, and I feel for anyone going through any of this stuff. And you know what? I can get frustrated with my own life sometimes, and it makes me think, wow, how lucky am I that I've grown up in, a fairly affluent family in Australia. I've had so much opportunity. It doesn't take much to be able to hear a story like yours and realize, wow, what? Like, we need to do more to help people that are really struggling. Like that's something that there isn't enough support for, and there's not enough empathy for. I don't think it probably. And yeah, that's probably another question. Did it feel to you like you were misunderstood? Like people just didn't, thinking, why aren't people showing me more support, having more empathy? Why are people judging me when they don't actually understand my story and what I've been through?
Huh. Huh. Boy, that's the biggest part right there, right? That's one of the biggest parts right there, But I mean, like I think if they understood the pain, right? If they could really understand the pain, that there would be more help, more than punishment, right? They didn't understand the pain. They didn't understand like the before, they didn't understand any of that, nor did they probably think to put that into, to add that to the scenario first, And it's unfortunate that, it's told that 95% of people that go to prison and spend statistically that do more than 5 years in prison, they end up that's their lives for the rest of their lives. 5% of those people that come out of prison after doing 5 or more actually are able to be able to go about life as best as they can, and they don't go back. And or no, is it? But anyway, then I think it's like, maybe I'm getting the numbers wrong, but then it's 3% that actually become successful.
Wow.
So
if you're looking to make a change, to lose weight, to get toned, to gain self-confidence, all in just 24 minutes a day, then go no further. You can check out the Move Your Mind community by going to nickbrax.start.page.
I guess I'm in the 5%. I've never been back to prison, right?
Yeah, good.
And we're working towards 3%.
Exactly. I'm sure you're going to get there.
Right.
But was that something that played on your mind a lot when you were going through that, and when you came out of it? Was there a lot of sort of fear or a lot of doubt coming up of, wow, I'm now?
I mean, I came out. Yeah.
Yeah.
I came out of there with nothing. Nothing. I had nothing. I mean, just imagine being spent 10 years in a 6x4 cell next to a metal toilet with a bunkie, and everybody, people tell you that they're going to be by your side, and it's crazy because they probably mean it at some point, but then time rolls on, right? And people fall off more and more and more, and within 3-4 years, it's just you, I did have my adopted mother though, and my sister showed up like once. My adopted sister, my my adopted brother showed up and seen me once at the end of my 10 years. But it's still just you in there. You understand?
Oh yeah.
And yeah, so you do your best to survive, and you know, there's a lot of studying with yourself to try to figure out where I went wrong. Um, when the judge told me 10 years, I think there was a moment where I just blanked out almost, and I said, "Is this for real?"
Mm.
You just think to yourself, did he just say what I thought he said? And you turn around and I look at my adopted mother who was in tears, and I said, you know, I don't know what's going on right now.
You'd be in shock.
It was all, yeah, it was a lot of shock. Yeah, a lot of shock. Yeah.
And what goes through your head when you're in prison? You're in there, you've got 10 years, you're going through day by day by day, you're by yourself. What do you do every day? What goes through your head? How do you cope? Do you have a lot of ups and downs? Is there, mentally, how do you get through that? I can't imagine.
Well, I mean, in the beginning, I thought of suicide, to be honest.
I can imagine. Yeah.
There was a moment there was a thought or two of suicide in the very beginning, for sure. Right when I went back right when they put the cuffs on me and they took me to the back where the holding cell was, I basically, at that moment, I said, one, I had a lot of fear as a young child going into, like, I'm a teenager at the time, going into a situation where all you watch through movies and stuff is the worst in prisons, and you're like, I'm going to live that? Like, I don't want to live that. So, yeah, there was a moment of that, and then there was an awakening at some point when that didn't work out, So
Yeah.
my thoughts was, how do I get out of this, or how maybe the appeal works or something. Your first thought is like, we can get this appealed,
Mm-hmm.
Another thing I wanted to say real quick, and so when this first happened, right? When this first happened, you think about like I said, the appeal and stuff like that. But when you get in there, I try my best to basically, once I do that, because the reason why, because I'm backtracking a little bit. The reason why is because I took a public defender. Normal people don't take a public defender when taking a case like mine. That's just out of control. But coming from poverty, you don't have the financials to pay for it. That's another part of, like, where the system is wrong, right? So what happens is you get this public defender that is basically in the same system as the DA, and that they're working together. Basically, they're not really, it's not built for you. It's built for the system, right? So they're not really helping. The public defender is not really doing his best to help. That's just not like, he's doing the bare minimum. He's not getting paid much, I mean, if you want me to keep it real with you, I'm gonna say, like, I kind of felt like it was 2 against 1, basically.
Do you feel
like I was just sitting there going through the motions, huh?
Do you feel like if you could have had the resource to have proper, defense behind
representative? Yeah.
Do you feel like you would have
representation?
Yeah. Do you feel like if you had that you would have gotten?
Yeah,
the same
my
thing?
My case was more cut and dry than what I'm probably speaking about now. Like it was a situation where I was at a party and I was defending myself, like most do, and somebody got a little hurt, But I'm from a small town where that kind of stuff doesn't happen in upstate New York, and I think they used me as an example for, those kind of people shouldn't be allowed to these kind of kids shouldn't be allowed to think that it's okay to do what they're doing. So I felt like I was used as an example, kind of.
That doesn't make sense to. Yeah, that's completely unjust, though, to give you 10 years for that. That's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, I learned a lot from it. Man, it's turned me into a different human being for sure. I mean, I've started a I help kids around the country. I've helped 500 children of single parent homes for the past 10 years. I started my own hair product company. I'm a barber, stylist, traveled the country, did hair shows, taught hair. This is why I say, like, when I was watching your Instagram, I said, wow, doesn't this kind of like really relate to exactly who I am, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and I just last week I went to a juvenile detention home. I started this other program where I go into the juvenile detention home and I speak to the kids and I cut their hair for them.
Amazing, mate. Yeah. It's incredible that you've been able to come through that experience and, not only get your life back on track, but actually be able to give back and, help other people that are going through a similar thing. I think
Kids. They're kids. They're kids. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you first came out of prison, what was that experience like? How did you have you were saying like, a lot of people have sort of dropped off. Was there anyone left in your life at that point?
Yeah, my adopted mom and my adopted father. Yeah.
Right, right.
But they don't come from money. My adopted mother and adopted father, they don't come from money. They don't make a lot of money. My mother doesn't work. She didn't work. My father's a retired military guy, but he took care of 5, 6 kids. They don't have a lot of money.
Yeah.
So what am I gonna do? Like come home and like ask for help? Like it's like back against the wall. Like right now, that's what it was when I came home, back against the wall.
Yeah.
It was time to put up or shut up, as they say, right?
So
and I said I'll grind it out.
Yeah. How do you navigate that? What was the process of what were the steps you took to sort of get things moving?
You got to get work, right? You got to get work.
Yeah.
Who wants to hire a 10-year felon? Not back then, at least.
Yeah.
How many applications I lied on and said I'd never been convicted of a felony. That came back and they're like, yeah, we found out you were. It's like loss after loss. You just keep getting punched in the gut. And then guess what? Then your gut turns into muscle. Right?
I like that. Yeah. But yeah, it's like it's set up to keep you in the system because, like you're saying,
it is.
You're first of all, you're unfairly put in there for that long. Then when you get out, you can't. You're stuck in a situation where it's like, well, I want to get work, I want to do this, but I can't. No one will offer me a job, etc. And at what point do you start to then take a turn for the worse? So it's I can see why you're saying, the statistics are so low about the people that come through it and are able to get themselves on track because you've just got so many things stacked against you. So was it just resilience for you? It was just this, no, I don't care what it's going to take. I don't care if it's going to kill me. I'm going to get my life on track. I'm going to just keep pushing forward. What was the thing that clicked that made it start to move in the right direction?
I'm so glad because I was thinking like, will he go there? Right. For me, it was the thought of me showing these people who judged me wrong that I'm going to show you that I'm better than what you thought. What was the big thing when I was first on CBS News in New York and doing for doing something positive? That was the first change, right? Where all these people had to watch the news were like, that's him? That was the first tall tale, right? Well, me and the mayor and she's standing next to me saying, look what he's doing now, For me, that was the smile that, okay. Remember, guys? Right. You guys said I was finished, right? And that's all I'm going to be in my life, right? Yeah. So that was it. And then proving to myself, I guess. And, and I was hoping that my biological mother would be watching the TV that day, Like look at your son that you gave up for whatever your reasons were, right?
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
Now look at him.
Yeah, absolutely. And has that sort of been, you're doing so many things now, like you said, your hair products, you're helping younger kids, you're, hairdresser, you must be super busy, you're motivated, dedicated. Has that sort
Yeah.
of put that fuel in you where it's just driving you every day to keep bettering yourself, keep pushing for more, keep, what's sort of what's your underneath everything? What's the one thing that really drives you every day?
Just not going back to prison. I mean, like,
Yeah.
regardless, like in life, this is true for life, right? I once heard that life is like a school that you never graduate. You just continue to, you feel like, oh, when you get to a point where you're like, I'm content, this is the best it's going to get. Well, then guess what? You're just a dead man walking, right?
100%.
So for me, I know I have a lot of like going on in my mind. When I die, I hope they do a study of it, right? Like why, how did he do it? There's a lot of pain. I still feel the pain and the stress and the anger and all those things. I feel it. Trust me, I feel it. There's moments where I'm like, I feel like giving up too, right? Because I feel like I'm chasing time. Like 10 years of my life, you could say that I've lost in a sense, right? So after that, what are you thinking? Like, I got to get all that. If I would have had those 10 years, where would I be today?
Yeah.
With the same mind frame that I have now,
Yeah.
where would I be today? I'd be a billionaire probably, right? But I didn't have those 10 years. So I'm kind of like, I'm behind kind of in my head. That's the way I feel a little bit. So I'm chasing those 10 years still, unfortunately. Maybe there should be another way about doing that, but that's how. So yeah, every day I'm just like, what can you do today? That will add to to the things that people judged you for, to show you that you're not that person,
100%. 100%, mate. And I think it's so, I love what you said about, life's a school you never graduate from, because it's so true. Like there is no like end sort of, goal that you get there and then everything's good and you're all fine. Like no matter who you are, even if you're the richest man in the world,
right? Don't get trapped in that, right?
Yeah, exactly. Life will have ups and downs. Things will be good, things will be bad, things will always change. You can't control that. That's like the nature of life. So I think the more we can accept that and realize it's actually not about the external part, it's about the journey, we go on inside ourselves and our own growth and how we can keep just learning, keep challenging ourselves. And we do that forever. Do that till you die.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. That's, see, now that I know that, right?
Yep.
Or that I've taken that into existence, that's the way it works. That makes it a lot better for me. There's not a day that I don't wake up and I'm like, what's going to hit me today? There's something going to hit you today, for sure.
Yeah.
Guaranteed. But how do I get through that? Is the best way to, and then watch who I follow. So like, I watched your page for a while before I reached out to you. I also work like through social media. I work with a couple of different companies now, like,
Are you interested in joining a community of like-minded people who are on the same journey as you are? Even though you're the one that needs to do the work, you don't have to go it alone. You can find all of the information at nickbrax.start.page.
One of them being Rewinded 10, which you might see on my page. It's like a beard color that came out, and it's and I like reaching out to people and using my story to become all of our benefits, right? Because what I am good with, which I learned in prison, which most people do learn in prison, is how to maneuver, right? You got to learn how to maneuver. You got to watch everybody. You always got to look over your back. You always got to stay on point, right? Well, I take that and that same, like I was in there like a little bit of a hustler kind of, you go through like you don't make any money in there. So you got to kind of figure out, well, what am I going to do? Right. Well, at one point I was drawing pictures for people because I'm good with art. So I was drawing pictures for people that they could send to their family members and stuff. Just things like that. I was, you learn how to stay afloat while in there, right? I worked in the mess hall. I was cooking. I'm good at cooking. So like, yeah. So you come home and you're like, you use these things. If you can use these things in the world that we live in today, guess what? You're one above everybody else because you already have these techniques and you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I'm really like, how did I get 50 sponsors? Because I'm really good at talking to people and let them know like they can believe in what I'm telling them because I'm going to get whatever I'm telling them that I'm going to get done,
Totally.
And you learn that in prison. So it's about how do you take what you learned in prison and use it legally as an
Totally.
influence, right? And I did very well with that. And I'm still doing it every day.
And do you think, we live in a world now where, social media, like technology, everyone's sort of so distracted all the time. Everyone wants a quick fix to everything. Do you think part of what you're saying there, that mindset of, well, you know what, you've been 10 years like in this system where it's like your psychology would be so much stronger in that way of seeing through all the bullshit and being able to, hone in and focus on what's important. Has that helped?
Oh, it definitely helps. I mean, if you could spend 10 years in a prison, what's another 10 years trying to develop a program, right? Or a system, right? That works.
Yeah.
But, I mean, this one's going to be a better system than the 10-year system, that's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good way to look at it. I like it. I guess final question based on your story, what would be the biggest lesson that you've learned mentally through your time in prison and afterwards, and what's the number one sort of thing that keeps you resilient? How do you push on through everything?
All right, so that's a double question. So you want to know what?
Well, we'll do the first one. So what's the biggest lesson you feel like you've learnt through everything?
Oh, the biggest lesson. Somebody once told me the biggest obstacle in life is not the discovery of ignorance, but the illusion of knowledge. I'm okay now with making mistakes, and the more mistakes I make now, it just teaches me another lesson, right? As long as those mistakes don't cause me prison time,
Yeah.
And I don't, with that part, I also don't, like, there's people that I follow today. I don't follow the people I used to. You're not going to get me with your selling me tickets to a movie that I don't want to see anymore, I've already seen the movie and I've seen the whole script. I don't want to watch it.
Yeah.
And that was my problem. I was following the wrong people in the streets that were telling me, yo, this is the way, bro. This is how we're going to do this. And I'm like, yeah, all right. I don't have any, like at that time, you don't really have anybody to look up to and stuff. So you're just following, people that, and look what it did for me. So today I'm making sure that I pull up on the right people,
Yeah, super important.
Like yourself.
Super important.
Like Nick Bricks.
Appreciate it, mate. Appreciate it. Well, I appreciate you. How did you come across me anyway?
I don't know. I follow a lot of like motivational people. I like to hear that. All that helps me. I always go through and, and read people's, motivational speeches and stuff like that. Every morning I wake up and I say, people love it when I do it. I take a couple of days off. They get a little disappointed. Like, yo, you all right? You okay? But I wake up and I say on my story, if you're listening to me right now, you are blessed. Why? Because a lot of people around the world didn't wake up today and you did. And, that's my little thing. I just know that if I woke up today, I wasn't supposed to wake up or come out of that, what I was already in the 10 years. I could have died in there. But somebody had a better plan for me.
Super powerful. It's such a powerful reminder because we can get carried away with all of the sort of mundane problems in life, but at the end of the day, we are very lucky to be here, and how do we make the most of today? So I think, look, we're going to have to do a round two, mate, with like so many more things I want to talk to you about, but we're going to just quickly like do a rapid fire 5 closing questions. Um,
All right.
First one would be, what's your best? I mean, this is probably a hard question for you, but this is what I ask every guest. What's your best childhood memory that comes to mind?
As a good one?
As a positive one, if there is, or it doesn't have to be, but yeah, maybe a memory that comes to mind for you. Hey guys, if you're enjoying this podcast, please click the subscribe button, leave a like or comment, share with your friends, and follow me on Instagram at NickBrax. I really appreciate your ongoing support.
That's a tough one. Um, as a child? Oof. All right, best and worst. So best and worst. So there was a time that I met my biological mother. My adopted parents wanted to introduce me to my biological mother. My best and worst. I went to her house. I got to meet her. It didn't turn out good, but at moments I felt like, wow, even if I never get to see you again, I got to see you once, you know, and your energy and what it was that made you decide that this wasn't it, you know? So yeah, that was it probably when I met my adopted mother. Best and worst.
Positive and negative.
And negative. Yeah, yeah.
Totally, totally. What do you think's currently the biggest burden on mental health in society?
The biggest burden?
Yeah.
That there's not enough help. Like there's not enough. Like remember what I told you about like people don't think about those things when it comes to play. For me, it didn't work. That if they would have just talked to me and said, "What is going on with you?" You know, somebody sat me down and said, "What is going on in that head of yours? What's wrong with you?" I wouldn't have spent 10 years in prison most likely.
It's huge. Yeah.
But that wasn't taken in, right? It was just like this is the punishment for this.
Yeah. And
well, before we just do that to this kid, why don't we figure out what's going on with him first?
100%,
so
mate.
Just
yeah. I mean, that's why I'm still doing the work I'm doing, because every time I've done a talk, whatever, you know, you hear so many people that had never talked about this stuff before that are going through all these struggles and they don't know where to go. And it's just crazy how many people are suffering in silence. So yeah, I think we need so much more help and support.
Yeah, we do, for sure.
What would you say is your personal definition of happiness?
Just basically, my personal definition of happiness is crazy. It's me making other people happy.
I love it. That's great. Yeah.
Isn't it? You know, I know. I seriously, like me making other kids happy that don't have, me making other people happy that are going through things. That is my end happiness. Like that I've made a difference and changed and made other people feel better about themselves. I mean, that's what my job is anyways, right? Is to give people confidence.
Joy comes back to you from that 100%.
Yeah, 100%. More than joy, a lot of other things.
100%. If you could give one piece of advice to your 18-year-old self, what would that be?
18 was the year before I went and did 10 years in prison.
Yeah.
Probably advice, I would say, is don't take things for granted. Don't take nothing for granted. Don't take life for granted. Because tomorrow we might not be here.
That's a powerful one. Really powerful.
That's
so
what
true.
would have best fit. That's what would have best fit for before I did 10 years, if I would have thought about that.
100%.
I didn't know tomorrow I would be doing 10 years in prison.
Really powerful, mate. Well, final one. I know you got to get going. So, what are you most proud of?
Most proud of? I'm most proud of myself. I mean, like, I'm not supposed to be doing half the stuff I'm doing. I'm not supposed to be. I live in a beautiful condo. Like this is way bigger than my jail cell. Uh, I live in a beautiful state. I pay for all my own things. I mean, I didn't have $1 at one point, or 2 pennies to rub together. And now I'm living a really good life, About to get on a train and go down south and go enjoy my day off, at the beach or whatever.
Beautiful.
I mean, life is good, man. Life is
Amazing,
good,
mate. Amazing. Well, we'll let you go and get down to the beach. Thank you again for making the time, mate. I think we will do a round two because there's so much more to go into. I think it's incredible what your story. I think it's so powerful. I think you're helping so many people. I know you help our listeners as well. So I think it's amazing that you're doing that. And final thing, where can our listeners go? I'll put this in the show notes. Where can they go if they want to learn more about you?
It's just follow me on Instagram. It's YA Barber Official.
Great.
YA Barber Official. Your Barber Official. It's like a metaphorical way about saying that I'm official with cutting hair. Like your barber official. Yeah. It's like awesome, a New York thing. I'm from New York originally, so yeah.
Well, that will be in the show notes. That'll be in the notes. So the link will be there. Anyone listening, check it out. And Jesse, thank you again, mate, for making the time.
No problem, man. It was really nice to talk to you, and I really appreciate what you're doing for the people, man.
Thank you.
Maybe
mate.
I might have to come out to California sometime.
Please do. I'd love it.
Well, we'll grab some dinner or something.
Yeah, we'd love to.
All right, man. You guys take care. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Jesse White, for joining me today and offering your insights. And thank you for listening. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the episode and any suggestions for topics you'd like to hear about. Feel free to leave a comment or just send me a DM. Your feedback's always appreciated. Please don't forget to click the subscribe button, leave a like or comment, share with your friends, and follow me on Instagram. It really makes a difference. Thank you so much.